Is about the structural side of the new ground force project. Starting off first with my background, here's the one that I've already done. So it's not as nuts as it might seem, but I have done this before. In the first case, we just put a 727 on some dollies designed by an engineer and strapped it down. So pretty simple. But the next one's much more ambitious. I'm going to talk through this in terms of scope for the engineer, and that'll then give the information about the project. But first, let's just go through the overall layout. On the ground floor, this is a cafe, which we've already got. These two containers back here are plant room and laundry processing. Inside here, we have a staircase. On the first floor, we have a small office, shower and toilet, and then two more offices. On the second floor, we have a sauna, shower and toilet room, large platform yoga area, bunkhouse. And then on the very top, we have the fuselage. Right, now down to structural stuff. The first bit is designing the foundations for what I'm calling the North Tower here, the foundations for the South Tower, which is here, and the foundations for the intermediary columns here. The ground is already tarmac with some pretty well compacted aggregate beneath. So I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of slab with some rebar in it to take the load of these containers. Okay, now structural overview. We've essentially got a North Tower here, which is two containers wide by three high, and a South Tower, which is two containers wide by three high. Don't be misled by this. This is not a container. This is just some corrugation material to look like a container. Structurally, it's container, another container, and another container. Now, um, let's go floor by floor. So you'll see here that the height is out by about 600 mil on each side. That is why we have these short columns going from the corner post, propping up the horizontal RSJs, which are running the length. These RSJs also serve the purpose of being a containment route for things like our ducting, MVHR, refrigerant pipe, electrics, and so on. So that space there is quite important. And structurally, I like it because it ties the whole thing together and means that we've got a nice, consistent platform to build the next floor on top of. So floor one, two containers, some upstands, and some RSJs. The next floor is then two more containers. You'll note that these ones cantilever out the back of this one, which is one of the reasons why I've got these RSJs. So we can transfer that corner post load through the RSJ, through the column. Okay, above that, two more containers. These are aligned with the corner posts, but of course the load is passing through these RSJs, which are running longitudinally along the structure. Same thing this side, all pretty obvious. Again, corner posts align perfectly. So you can just view that as a two wide by three high 20-foot container stack with some steel work in between each one. Okay. In the middle here, these RSJs will be 12 meters and they'll extend to these columns in the middle, which are both forming the ceiling of this space and the floor of the space above. Getting up here now, we'll be running some purlins, exact dimensions TBC, but I'm thinking it's probably 120 by 50 mil. And they'll run spanning the RSJs, welded down, and then cantilevering out by about 1.2 meters here. There is also a high load point, which is where this hot tub is going to go. For this, I think we'll double up on the floor joists, and I think we'll also make this handrail here act essentially like a truss, just by making the steelwork continue up with some diagonal ties to go off to this corner column of the container to help take the additional load. Okay, moving up from there, at the back here, let's do the front first, so it's simple. This again, RSJ's running back, purlins running across, same method as this decking. Bit of a cantilever, but not too heavy. All pretty straightforward there. And then at the front here, this will be nose landing gear dolly, which is going to be attached into this RSJ, which transfers the load once again to the corner posts. So the load of the aircraft is going straight through the corner post, straight down, into the containers at the bottom. Back, this is basically a copy of the one that I've done before, this dolly arrangement. Once again, spreading the load across the corner posts with some spreaders here, which take the load across what's known as the keel beam in aviation speak. Aircraft is actually worryingly light. It only weighs 27 tons. So the issue here is it blowing off. So much like the first one we did, it's all about strapping down. So some really, really big chains attached to the landing gear attachment points by each wing and also nose landing gear. That's worked very, very well. But in this application, rather than strapping straight down to the steelwork, I suspect it might be prudent to strap all the way down to the bottom of the columns on the ground, thereby reducing the load that could peel up the side of these second floor containers. Right. I think the last bit now is this, which is a little bit of a general design now. I think it's going to change, which is the rear balcony of the aircraft, catwalk, and fire escape route. Now, ideally, I would like this steelwork structure to be independent of the aircraft so we can pre-build it. When the aircraft arrives, it just gets plonked straight in position. But it is an option to bear some of the load onto the fuselage. Now, at the back of this aircraft, they had three engines, which were very heavy, I think about 2.5 ton each, and the tail and the skid. So we have a known load capacity across the back of the aircraft, and it's very, very, very high. So it is an option to bear some of the load into the fuselage if we need to. But again, my preference is to pre-build it as an independent structure and the aircraft just slots in so it's separate. I'm also mindful of the thermal expansion of a fuselage versus steelwork. Bit of a minor factor, but just wouldn't be a bad idea for them to be structurally decoupled rather than run the risk of all sorts of stresses appearing when each heats up and cools down separately. So covered off foundations, the framework system, the container arrangements. Again, the critical note is this is basically two towers of containers with an aircraft on top. Now, the next thing is removing the corrugation in these walls. I don't want to have to analyze every single window. So what I've done is designed hang on, just bear with me. I've designed a specification of, just bear with me, a specification of how we do window openings. Here we go, which I'm going to send you in an email. Basically, by making standard specification of aperture types, the intention is an aperture will be stronger than the corrugation that was there, meaning that from analysis and design point of view, we can treat each container as a standard ISO container and effectively disregard that there is an opening. I'm keen to get feedback on this design rationale, but the idea is to simplify and keep the design costs down. That is pretty much my overview. I'm looking for an engineer to work with me on this. Give me feedback, collaborate, pull up any gaps in the understanding, and then do the analysis to make sure that what we're doing is absolutely safe. Thanks for watching, and I'm keen to hear your feedback.